Hello everybody, this is going to be a review of the HP Spectre i7-8750H with the NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti Max-Q. This is specifically in regards to 3D software. Today I'll be testing 3ds Max, Unity, and ZBrush. I have used the Substance Suite, Designer, and Painter, and been very successful with that. In general, I'm happy with this. There are a few things you must, in my opinion, you should do. One I would say is a must-do if you're going to use this for 3D, and that's to switch from 4K down to 1920 by 1080. Right now, what you're seeing is 1920 by 1080. If we look at the display settings, you'll see, yes, and I did increase the scaling just a little bit for my old eyes, but there you go. The other thing I have to do is manage my thermals through throttle stop. There's a video on throttle stop that will show you how to kind of undervolt this laptop. And also, I actually went ahead and reduced the clock speed as well in most cases. I think it'll go up to 4 gigahertz or 4.5. I think it's 4. I'm not sure right offhand. I brought it down to 3.5 gigahertz with a very minor change in performance. Speaking of performance real quick, I did do some render testing in 3ds Max, just an ambient inclusion map at 4096. And it impressed me. It took about 8 to 9 minutes at 3.5 gigahertz, whereas my desktop, which is still I consider kind of a beast, at least to me, it has another 6-core i7. I'm not sure what the family is, but it has 32 gigs of RAM, and it has dual 1060s in it, one for each monitor, and it'll still take that machine about 8 minutes to render up the same map. So, you know, for this tiny machine, it's really doing a great job keeping up with some of with more of my beast. So with that said, we'll go ahead and dive in, and I'll try to keep this quick, and hopefully this gives you enough information for you to make your own decision. Now I am going to go ahead and start all this software in real time so that you can see how long it takes to wind up and just, you know, get a feel for like the overall performance. Now in 3ds Max, I did do a test already, so I have a test scene kind of set up. It was a chunk of a street scene I did for a Unity project, and I just duplicated the geo a bunch, and then duplicated like my temporary scale characters a bunch, and subdivided a couple. So yeah. And it should be stated too that OBS, the screen recording software, OBS, is running, so that's also going to impact overall performance to some extent, just so you know. All right. Okay. First, we'll look at this guy, and then I'll go ahead and just go through the rest of the scene. So this is one that I tested where I basically subdivided the mesh a couple times through Turbo Smooth. And then you can see right now it's at 78,000 polys. So I come over here. I can grab verts easy enough without a problem. But it will get, when I turn on end result with the 78,000 polys, it does get rather slow. Let's go ahead and use soft selection. Just pull that up a bit. Here we go. All right, so now let's turn on end result. Now you'll see it slows down quite a bit. But to be honest, it's also slow on my main machine. It's not much better. So for whatever that's worth. You can also see the frames per second when I go to like push a vert. It drops to under 1 frame, so it's chuggy. But you can always just toggle the end result, and that's not an issue. So there's that, right? All right, so let's unhide the rest of this scene so you guys can get an idea of just the overall density. All right, now we'll configure this. Stats, total, and selection, apply. Here we go. Okay, so this scene has 8,416,000 polys in it. It's spinning just fine. We can go ahead and turn on like the high quality render. You can kind of see what that looks like. So you can see it's coming in. It's a little hard to notice with the wireframe on, so let's turn that off and we'll just zoom in a little closer. There you go. So that's pretty quick. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's just partial scene or the whole scene. It seems to render that preview pretty fast. So we'll go back to standard. Just grab something here. Excuse the in and out. Hopefully you're not getting motion sick. I'm just about to. Let's grab something. Here we go. Polys would perform as you would expect. Right. I mean, it's all the basic stuff, right? So there you go. There's that. And you can just do standard modeling of any kind in this. Let's go to Turbo Smooth. There's Turbo Smooth. Here we go. Now let's try throwing an edit poly on top of that just to see what happens. Yeah, so it gets a little, definitely start feeling the slowdown when you start adding those polys pretty heavily. So, but there you go. All right, so that's max. And let's just keep this moving right along. We can try one other thing. Let's just try some kind of stylized or clay. And from clay, we will try colored pencil. There's not any colors in here, so that's kind of pointless. I don't ever use these, but just so you guys can get an idea. There you go. And still holding up without a problem. So that's max. Okay, now we'll dive into ZBrush real quick. And here's our numbers. See, the temps are staying nice thanks to throttle stop. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. Let's jump into ZBrush. Sure my OBS thing's still working. It looks like it. Good. Okay, so here's good old ZBrush. All right, so we'll use the dog as the victim. Go ahead and duplicate. Divide it a couple times. Go into solo. All right, so it's probably still pretty low. Yeah, super low, but we're gonna try using Dynamesh anyway. So let's just so you guys get an idea how fast it takes to process things like Dynamesh. Now, I did do this once already. When I did this the first time, OBS would freeze at the Dynamesh part, which is the screen recording software, only because Dynamesh just sucks every bit of like the CPU juice that it can. So if it freezes, it should come back. Just be patient. And again, it just takes like, it's quick. I mean, it's close to as quick as my desktop. So I'm sorry I don't have like an actual time. I want to say maybe 15, 20 seconds at most. I'm not sure. I will actually time it while I'm talking. 1 second. All right, so we will go ahead. The resolution will bump it up to 1500. I will time this and we'll see how long it takes. Okay, so that was actually 10 seconds. Let's be sure it actually did it. Looks like it did it. Or maybe closer to 11, but either way, it's pretty good. And let's see. And that's for, what is that? 1,648,000 polys. That's pretty good for the Dynamesh performance there. So now let's go ahead and do some basic drawing with this. One thing you need to know too is the screen sensitivity to touch. It's very sensitive to like finger touch and palm input and stuff. So the palm rejection isn't fantastic. I definitely have to wear the glove and just watch the exposed fingers so they don't like get too close to the screen and cause random issues. So yeah, just something to be aware of. So far I'm okay with it though. So, and pressure sensitivity has been pretty good. As you can see, right? Then let's see here. I still have to get used to the pen, and again, the finger, the hand input thing can be an issue. So, yeah, let's go ahead and start. And also the undo thing is pretty quick too, so that's nice. Let's go to morph target. We'll just store the morph target and see how well that brush works. Okay, so let's try morphing this back out. No problem doing that. And then again, this is at, so this is pretty light though still. This is just 1.5 million polys. So let's get out of, let's try something egregious here. And let's just go to, we'll try the alpha thing and see how it does drawing out alpha. And then we'll get a little heavy handed. All right. Let's really just intensify this. There we go. All right. So alpha seems to work fine. That is the intensity even larger. Yeah. All right. So that works just fine. Now let's try really increasing the poly count and see what performance is like. I can tell you that it tops out at 20 million polys, but performance is still pretty solid. So right now we're at 1,000,006. So we'll get one more bump, so it'll be around 24 million, I think, actually. Okay, 26. All right, so we're definitely going to be pushing what this thing will be able to do. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see there's an initial, now you're starting to feel the pause, a little bit of lag. Oh, I also have lazy mouse on, so that's not helping anything. Yeah, there we go, that's much better. So again, this is 26 million polys, right? So that's no small thing. We'll go ahead and do the alpha test again. Oops. It's a little slow for sure. So it's definitely pushing it. Yeah. So you can see it's struggling to some extent at 20 million polys or 26 million. At 20 million, it's actually pretty easy going. This is, we're just really pushing what it can do. Yeah, so this is probably a little too high at 26 million. Again, 20 million is much better. So let's just, let's try to just get rid of this real quick. Duplicate. See if we can't get it closer. All right. So let's go to Dynamesh. Just bring it more up to maybe 1,000. Okay, I think that's done. All right. See how many polys that is. So that might work. 3 million. 12. Okay, well, 12 million will definitely be pretty smooth. So it does still look like actually like wasn't as smooth as what I thought it would be in that case. There we go. So yeah, I don't think it's too bad. All right. So let's undo that. And where are we at here? So let's just try this one more time. I am guessing. There, so that should be closer, right? Almost 2 million. Yeah, exactly what I was wanting, 31 million. Yeah, that's great. But oddly, it's not terrible. Okay, so if I'm reading that correctly, maybe I'm not. No, I think I am. I think that is actually 31 million, right? Yeah, it is. Okay. So that's apparently 31 million. I'm double checking that because that seems like I'm reading that wrong. No, it is. So it's actually acting way better than what I thought it would. And I didn't think it could reach that. Let's just see how it handles some other brushes here. So this is just the trim dynamic. Definitely slow though, as far as like the undo at this point. So again, this is pretty impressive, irregardless. At what I thought it wouldn't do, which is hit 30 million polys. I thought it was going to cap out at 20. It did last time, so I don't know what the difference is. Yeah. Anyway, now I'm just nerding out a bit. So that's ZBrush. I would say you're gonna have plenty of flexibility to get to the kind of level of detail that you'd want. The pen isn't as great as what I hoped it would be, but it's still really good. I'm still really happy with it, but I've had better pens in both Wacom and some of the off-brand Cintiq clones, but I'm pretty happy with it. So I could see myself working with this for a long time. All right, so that's ZBrush. I'm gonna get out of this because I'm taking way longer than I thought I would be. It's not. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm at 22 minutes. Okay, so this is becoming way too long. So let's jump into Unity real quick. And then you can see Unity is the worst case scenario, I should say, in that I have a lot of stuff going on in my sample scene. It's a street scene that uses a lot of decals, has some environment reflections going on. Doesn't have too many dynamic lights, has one or two. Just a lot of stuff, and then has a whole bunch of PBR shaders on it, and then the poly count is also fairly hefty. Well, not hefty, but there's a lot of instances of geometry. You can see right here as an example. So now what this, it will take a minute for everything to kind of calculate. So just kind of let it sit for a second. And then let's see here if it's woke up. Yeah, so it's woken up. So now I ran into this every time with this scene. I can spin around in it just fine, but when I start to try to duplicate objects or move anything, it really starts to chug. Like we're talking maybe just a couple frames a second. But in this case, actually, it's working better than what I thought. So there we go. Yeah, this is more what I expected. So it's really slow, but again, on my desktop, it's faster, but not insanely faster. It's still like at this point unpleasant to work with. On my desktop as well, it's still kind of chuggy. And it's just kind of incredible that such a small device is capable of doing so much now. The other thing is the ergonomics of this. I almost thought about doing just another comparison video, but the ergonomics of using a convertible, I love a convertible for what it can give me as far as an ergonomic solution. It's extremely impressive. Like I just have so much more flexibility with how I want to set it up versus just your standard laptop. So yeah, so this is not anything special, but you can see here, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. And that's just some of it. There's other, like, there's things that you can drill down into. So yeah, this is not a small seam. And if I duplicate this, stretch it out, bring it up here. Just a decal right here. If I try to rotate it, kind of see it's all moving pretty slowly. But I could, if I had to use it like this, it would just, I'd have to be very patient. That's not what I want to do. Okay, so let's just see some of the specs are saying. But see, look at the temps are staying still fairly low, and that's great. Band's running pretty hard, but even then, it's not bad. And these are all great temps to me, considering what's going on here. But we're definitely stressing out the 1050 when we start moving around in here. Let's see if I can somehow get them both up. Maybe not. Okay, it's fine. Oh, this is already windowed. So let me see if I can just shrink it down. Maybe we can kind of get an idea. So you want to see the load here to see what the GTX is doing. You can see, yeah, see how it immediately like starts jumping to 100% usage. It just pegs whenever I'm trying to use anything or move anything. But I could work like this, and that's fine. It would work okay. And again, most scenes that I work in would not be this hefty in this case in Unity. And if they are, I'll probably just do it for my desktop, like for a client or something. So there you go. So that's a not so fast overview. I hoped it would be quicker, but you guys get an idea. If you want anything, if you want any additional testing, let me know, and I can try to get it done. Again, I'm pretty happy with this. To give you some kind of comparison, I didn't just need this laptop. It was actually a gift. I have a gaming laptop that is very similar to this, except it's actually a little bit more powerful, and that it has a 1070 GTX that is not the Max-Q, so it's the full 1070, has 32 gigs of RAM, and much more expandability. But I think I'm going to sell that. It's an Aorus X7 V6 and keep this, because what this offers in portability and just ergonomics plus the battery life thing is just, for me, it's amazing. So I'd almost rather give up some of my graphics card power and keep all the other benefits of having this device. And for people who want to compare this to like some of the Dells or something, if it's a laptop and not a convertible, yeah, I mean, I guess it's great, but you run into the same issues with laptops that I think I had, which was ergonomically they become kind of more restrictive. Like I can put this up on a stand and put it in tent mode, and it raises it up to more like level with my head, and I'm not arcing and hunching over it all day long, and I find I can work easily for multiple hours without feeling any kind of fatigue, and just like I'd be at my desk working out from my desktop. And I normally have a second monitor on here. I don't right now, and that also like alleviates the size constraints and makes that all fairly easy to use. So I might do an ergonomics video where how I kind of use this in my setup. But again, that's, I don't know, we'll see. So I hope this has been helpful. Yeah, hit me up with any questions and I will try to respond or even do an update video if there's enough like requests. I'm not a YouTube reviewer. I don't, I'm just doing this to try to give back for other people who have posted in the times past, just to keep kind of things rolling as people are trying to find out information. So there you go. Have a great day.